Dr. Warschefsky is an accomplished evolutionary biologist whose research uses genomic tools to understand how domestication shapes plant diversity and to conserve crops and their wild relatives. Today, she's going to take us deep into the roots of plant-person interactions to talk about the origins of mango, the diversification and movement of mango varieties through history, and the ways in which its millennia of encounters with people have shaped both the mango's genome and human cultures. Welcome, Dr. Warschefsky, and thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Thank you, Robbie, for that introduction, and I'm really excited to be here to talk with all of you about one of my favorite topics, the domestication and diversity of mango. But first, I'd like to start off with just giving you an idea about why I study domesticated plants. Over the past 12,000 years, humans have domesticated a wide variety of plants that provide us with many different products, ranging from fruits and vegetables to spices, nuts, oils, and of course, some of our most favorite specialty products like coffee, tea, and chocolate. But this relationship between people and the plants that we consume is a really special one. What we eat and how we eat it is extremely intricately associated with how we live. So studying domesticated plants allows us a clearer picture of our own humanity in this historical sense, but also in our contemporary world. Now, as an evolutionary biologist, my research focuses on the process of plant domestication as plants transition from growing in the wild to being cultivated by humans. And in particular, I focus on how plant genomes are shaped during this process. But understanding domestication is more than just a portal into our past. It's also critically important to ensuring food security for the future. Today, of the many domesticated species that we have, roughly 90% of calories that the human population consumes come from only about 20 of these species. With the human population expected to expand to 9 billion within the next 3 decades, it's estimated that crop production has to increase by 70% in order to meet the demands of this growing population. It's becoming increasingly clear that in order to ensure food security for the future, we need to diversify our agricultural systems, focusing on nutrition, sustainability, production, and resilience to different climatic stressors. And the best way to do this is to diversify our agriculture and food systems. And one way that we can help do this is by understanding how domestication changes different types of crop species, including trees like the one I'm focusing on today, mango. The mango is a fruit that just has a really incredible diversity of color and shape and size, and most importantly, unfortunately, you can't tell from the picture, a great diversity of flavor and texture as well. Across the world, there are more than 1,000 different named cultivars of mangoes. But despite its diversity in appearance, all of these different types of mango belong to a single species, Mangifera indica. This is a species that is part of the plant family called Anacardiaceae, which is the cashew family. Some other notable species within this group include pistachios, sumac, and oddly enough, poison ivy and poison oak as well. The genus that mango is a part of contains around 70 different tree species, all of which are from South and Southeast Asia. And within this group, there are many other edible cultivated fruits, but mango is the only one that has reached global prominence. Originally, mango started off in this region of the world, circled. And this is northeastern India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan. This is where we believe wild mangoes were first found. And cultivation of mango began around 4,000 years ago, primarily in India. And while mango plays a really important cultural role in many societies across the world today, its role has been and continues to be particularly significant in its region of origin. Here, you can see mango depicted alongside other fruits in a stone carving from around 100 BCE. More than 2,000 years later, here's a photo of a mango festival in northern India in 2018. So how did mango get to come from northern India and travel all across the world? The first introductions outside of this region of origin were into Indochina, shown in blue, and the region called Malaysia, shown in green. We estimate that that was around the 4th to 5th centuries BCE, and mango was probably introduced by Buddhist monks who were journeying into these regions during that time. It wasn't until quite a bit later that mango began its westward migration out of India, being introduced first into East Africa, perhaps as early as the 9th or 10th centuries, and then into Western Africa in the 16th and 17th centuries. And in these trips were just primarily following the trade routes of that time period. In the early 1700s, the Portuguese brought mango from Western Africa into Brazil, and this was the first known introduction of mango into the New World. From there, mango spread into the Caribbean in the mid-1700s. And then into Mexico, also in the mid-1700s, both from this Caribbean and Brazilian trajectory, but also Mexico received unique introductions directly from the Philippines. And this is because both Mexico and the Philippines were under Spanish rule at that time. So trade flowed pretty freely between these regions. It wasn't until 1833 that mango was first introduced into South Florida. But I want to highlight this region because South Florida later became an area of really intensive mango breeding. And this is where many of the world's most important mango cultivars were developed. So what did this trip around the world do to the diversity of mango? Now, for some crops, these consecutive introductions into new regions can have a negative impact on genetic diversity, and that can cause important traits like disease resistance or tolerance to flooding to be lost. However, using some genetic tools, my research has shown that mango, like some other tree species, including apples, has been able to maintain relatively high levels of genetic diversity during its introduction into new regions. However, my genetic analysis also provides support for this common knowledge that there are two main types or gene pools of mango. And you can easily see this at the grocery store. If you walk in, there are typically two different types of mangoes that you can get. I purchased these at the local grocery store here recently. So you've got big red and green kind of round mango cultivars, and you've got little smaller, flatter mangoes that have what we call a defined nose, this point at the end. So these are representatives of these two types of mango cultivars, Indian cultivars and Southeast Asian cultivars. And they differ in the size and shape and color characteristics. They also differ in their flavor and texture, with Indian cultivars having a stronger, more so-called turpentine flavor, and Southeast Asian cultivars having a much milder flavor. So it's unclear exactly what has led to the difference between these two types of mangoes, both in terms of their appearance and at the genetic level. But one of the contributing factors seems to be cultural preferences. So the flavor profiles and textures of these mangoes are different. And there's even a bit of a rivalry in terms of which types are the best or the real mangoes between these different regions. Today, mango is cultivated in the tropics and warm subtropics across the world, and it's one of the world's most important, valuable, and produced crops. This is a heat map that shows global mango production by country, with darker colors indicating higher levels of production. And you can see that although the United States is not a very important producer of mangoes, what you can't tell is that, in fact, the US is the world's largest importer of mango. And that includes fresh and dried mango products. And across the world, mango is consumed in a number of ways, from fresh fruits to dried or frozen, as it's used as pulps and in juices. And interestingly, it's also used both as a ripe fruit, but also in green and unripe stages, such as this Thai mango salad that's on the lower left. And mangoes used in kind of a variety of flavor profile dishes as well, from spicy dishes like chutneys to sweet desserts like mango sticky rice. So this talk today is actually centered around one of the uses of mangoes that I find to be pretty unique and very interesting, which is amchur powder. So amchur powder is made from dried green or unripe mangoes, and it's a spice that's commonly used in the cuisine of northern India. It provides a sour or citrusy flavor that can serve as an alternative to tamarind, which is more commonly used in southern Indian cuisine. And it's typically used in things like samosas and chutneys, but it's also the key ingredient in the spice blend called chaat masala, which is used to flavor various snack mixes. So this is actually a use that, a product that I wasn't really familiar with until relatively recently, but it's been really fascinating to think about. And in particular, I was interested in thinking about, well, why did people choose to use green mangoes? Why wouldn't you allow those fruits to ripen on the tree and you get the fresh, juicy, sweet mango? And in fact, if you know something about the biology of mango, it's actually quite a clever product. So mango trees in their reproductive cycle will produce millions of flowers and thousands of fruits each year. But most of the fruits on this single tree will fall off before they're fully ripened. They sort of self-prunes. Now, these immature green mangoes that fall onto the ground are actually the basis for products like amchur and oftentimes mango pickles as well. So I find it really interesting to think about the ways that people have adapted to the biology of this important plant in order to take advantage of even this sort of quote unquote waste product. And so this is the accession from our biocultural collection. And I am really pleased that I was able to share that with you today. And now I'm available to talk to you more about mangoes and answer any questions you may have.
Thanks so much, Dr. Warschefsky. Mango happens to be one of my absolute favorite fruits, so I do enjoy it fresh. So as we wait for some questions to pop up in the Q&A, I have one or two for you, if you don't mind answering those. I also am a huge fan of things flavored by mango. So can you speak to whether or not like specific cultivars are more popular for things that like to flavor a mango tea or something else that would be more processed as opposed to like a fresh meal like you had shown in your talk?
Sure. So it can be quite difficult, I think, to track. In the case of this amchur powder, we asked the producer if they knew which particular mango cultivar was used for this product, and they weren't able to tell us specifically. And I think in that case, it's because these are mostly green, unripe mangoes, and so it's probably a mixture of different cultivars from northern India. In terms of other mango flavored products, I would assume a lot of those are coming from just the cultivars that are easiest to produce and most widely produced. But that's not to say that there aren't particular varieties that are favored in different parts of the world in terms of their flavor profiles. So Alphonse or Alfonso mango is the king of mangoes in India. So if you'll see products that specifically say that mango cultivar on the label.
And another question, are mango flowers used at all?
Mango flowers aren't consumed, at least to my knowledge, but they are used in certain ceremonies as more of a decoration. Interestingly, though, mango leaves, young mango leaves, are eaten in some cuisines, which I haven't tried, but it seems like an interesting use for them.
Great. Well, we've had quite a few questions come in, so I'm going to just go through them as quickly as we can. So Catherine asks, can you tell us something about the cultivation of the mango? What conditions do they need, and do they have adverse elements when they're commercially grown?
Sure. Yeah, mango cultivation is pretty interesting. So mango, like many trees, especially tree fruits and nuts, is grown via grafting. And so that's where a piece of a branch from a fully grown tree is attached to the roots of another completely distinct genetic individual. And that is because this is how you maintain a particular variety. So if you want to grow, say, Alphonse mangoes, you get a grafted Alphonse mango, and that will produce fruit that is exactly the same anywhere it's grown, more or less. In terms of cultivation of mango and the conditions it requires, I am not a mango producer, but my understanding is that mangoes are quite tolerant to a variety of conditions and can do well with handling some drought and some salinity. They obviously love to grow in hot, humid climates. Humidity can be a bit of an issue with some diseases, but I think a lot of the main issues, there are some really problematic pests and diseases in mango cultivation. So those are some of the major factors that limit mango production.
Great, thank you. We've got a question from Theodora that says, is there a variety less likely to cause a reaction from mango? She says a friend of hers calls it mango mouth.
Yes, this is a great little tidbit. So because mango is part of this poison ivy family, it does share some of the same chemicals as poison ivy or similar chemicals that can cause a rash. In general, I'm not sure if there is one particular cultivar. I would imagine that some are more reactive or cause more reactions than others. I'm not sure if that has specifically been tested, but what I can tell you is that mango itself, compared to some of the other wild relatives, these closely related species, causes less of a rash. When I was doing some work in Thailand, I ran into one species where the common name is called itchy mango. And I definitely found out why that was the case.
I didn't even know that was an issue, so I'm so glad that was brought up. We actually have a question from Robbie. You mentioned that mango, in contrast to some other crops, remained genetically quite diverse as it spread around the world. And so he wonders, do we have any idea why that is? And what are the implications for mango varieties, current and future?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sure. So some of the reasons that mango was able to maintain diversity are just reasons that are shared with other tree crops, and that's the biology of these species. So mangoes oftentimes, most of the time, have to pollinate with another individual in order to produce fruit. So they can't do what's called self-pollination. And that means that they're constantly mixing their genes, and they have just a lot of diversity within a single individual. Whereas in things like wheat or corn, you can do self-pollination and then create these, we call them true breeding lines. So one individual that has very low diversity in its own genome, and you can self-pollinate and you will get individuals that are basically genetically almost identical. So because of that outcrossing and mixing of genes, mango is able to maintain diversity. And all of these different cultivars are each fairly genetically diverse. The problem with tree crops actually comes in when you think about the fact that they're grown grafting, and this is clonal propagation. So a keat mango, which is a common mango cultivar, the genetics of that individual, if you have an orchard of 1,000 trees, they're all genetically identical. And so if you have problems with disease in a particular cultivar, that will affect potentially a whole orchard. And it's similar to the problem that many people have heard about in bananas, that they are facing problems in their production because of the outbreak of certain diseases, and primarily only a single cultivar is grown. So while there's a lot of diversity within individuals, in terms of at the farm scale, a lot of times there's low diversity.
Great, thank you. Ward asks, are there any notable nutritional benefits to mango?
Oh yes, mangoes have a lot of really important vitamins and minerals. This amchur powder, when I was researching it, they were talking about it's a great way to preserve some of the nutritional content of fresh mango and add that into dishes without having to keep the fruit fresh. I believe it's a lot of vitamin A and even some iron within this amchur powder.
Wonderful, thank you. And so we have a question from Dr. Rice Jackson. Does mango have medicinal use, such as in Ayurvedic medicine?
There is some research into medicinal uses of mango. I don't know that it has reached any sort of global prominence, but that's not exactly my area of specialty. I would think there are probably, there are definitely some regional uses.
Great. Emily asks, can you tell us about mango butter?
Mango butter is delicious. And so I believe like many other what we call butters, this is just a more concentrated version of a jam or jelly. So you could make it yourself, going to the grocery store and buying some mangoes, letting them ripen, and just kind of boiling them down.
Brilliant. I actually haven't tried that yet, so I'm going to have to. Keith asks, this slide is making me want to try all of these different varieties. Can one find these in the US? Is there an effort to introduce these other cultivars and varieties into the US?
That's an awesome question. So actually, I took all of these photos at Fairchild Tropical Botanic Garden, which is located in Miami, Florida. And these are all cultivars that are grown at Fairchild's farm. They have a mango collection that I used for my research. So they are available within the US, but they're available only at a very small scale. So maybe only one tree of these cultivars. Commercially, it's not easy to come by them, but if you're willing to travel to South Florida during mango season, you can definitely find a lot more variety than you can in your local grocery store. And a couple other regions within the US are Hawaii produces a lot of mangoes, and Puerto Rico as well.
We actually have another question from Ward. He's got a 60-plus-year-old mango tree in Hawaii. The fruit is Langra Benarsi in appearance. Any idea where the mangoes in Hawaii came from in terms of the New World or from Asia?
Yeah, Hawaiian mangoes are a little more of a recent introduction, is my understanding. And so the Langra Benarsi is actually an Indian mango. But I do know that a lot of the Hawaiian mango cultivars tend to be more closely related to sort of what came out of Florida. So this, it's Indian, but sort of not directly from India. It came via Africa and the Caribbean. But certainly it can get a bit tricky because, of course, you can always be introducing new cultivars, and especially now people love to trade. Because you can grow them clonally, you can trade mango cultivars from Hawaii to Florida to Puerto Rico, and potentially even internationally.
Great. I'm going to mash up our last two questions because we're just at time. So Keith asks, when is mango season in North America? And Carolina asks, what's the best way to cut up a mango? So I thought that they might work together well. Perfect.
Yes. So mango season in North America is in our summertime. So in South Florida starts maybe May, definitely in June, and goes through August or so. I would think Mexico is similar, but obviously they're a little warmer, so they can produce a little more around the clock than we do. The best way to cut up a mango, I did not include a picture of this, but if you look online, you'll see. You take the mango, if you all can see my video, actually, I can kind of show you. If you take your mango and you turn it so you know which direction the seed is going, the long way, like this, you want to cut on both sides of the seed, and then you take those sort of halves and score them into a checkerboard with your knife. And then you can flip it, and there will be these nice little cubes of mango that you can scoop out with a spoon. So that's my preferred way of doing it. Seems to be the simplest. And then of course you have the center with the mango pit that you can just get messy and eat that straight off of the seed.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone, to everyone who's joined us today. We look forward and hope you can join us for future sessions. The next one's in 2 weeks, and it's by James de Castro, who's going to be speaking about hand paper making traditions of Vietnam. So please make sure to join us. We look forward to hosting you again. And these are all fabulous questions. And Dr. Warschefsky, thank you so much for a wonderful talk. It's so great to have you kick off the series. And thanks again to NEH for funding the series. Thank you all so much and have a lovely day.